We good?
Hey,
we on?
Yeah, we're
Dude,
on.
Big day today. We're here with Taylor Gibson,
Whoa.
a.k.a. Should we back it up?
No. I like that. I like that people hear that there's the man behind the creature.
Well, I was getting ready to drop the name.
Drop
but
it.
As most of you know him, it's Effy.
Yes.
Welcome.
Live and in studio, my
Welcome
dude.
Yeah.
to the Half Room Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, man. We
I just
appreciate
want you
having
guys to
you.
know that in the past, when people have asked me to do in-person interviews, I've pretended to be a fake manager of myself and said that he can't handle in-person interactions. I've told that to legitimate wrestling establishments, he just doesn't do in-person interactions.
I didn't know how you were showing up here. I was
I'm
like,
here.
Maybe rolling with a posse or
Yeah, you're either coming in like this,
Yeah.
or you're coming in full Effy gear.
I can't, thank God. I didn't know you guys were videoing, so I was like, thank God this is audio. I haven't shaved in days. My spray tan, if you really look at my skin, is just peeling off of me.
Oh, this is video also.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So
Yeah.
get a good look at that.
So we can see you flaking off.
Yeah. Because I do a double dark clear coat. So I literally spray tan 2 times in a row with the darkest spray they'll give me.
Okay.
And I
Really?
have to convince the girls.
Right.
So Friday, Saturday, I'm looking Puerto Rican and gorgeous. But Monday, Tuesday, when that thing starts peeling off, it's disgusting.
Ugh.
Just patches of you can probably see on my legs. It's just patches of brown everywhere.
Gosh, hold on. Now, do you go I know some gyms will have do you
And
go to
I
a
pay for
legit
the full-
tanning?
Yeah, I go to a
Yeah.
tanning place. So it's and what's funny is I'll go before a show. So I'll go on my lunch break on a Friday. I work a real job, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wrestling pays better, but we're not Roman Reigns yet.
Right.
So I'll go during my lunch break, and it's just me in khakis and a polo. I'll take the darkest coat ever. And the girl's always like, "You don't want to do that." I was like, "You don't understand. I need it.
I do.
Give me so much bronze."
So let's just start from the beginning real
Yeah.
quick. How did you get started wrestling?
See, you're the best person to ask this. I just vaped in here. That's why my voice sounds weird.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't. We just.
I don't think it's
Did we
set
sign
up
some
for-
amendment that maybe it's.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but it's a private establishment, so you get to make
Yeah.
that rule here, and all centers welcome.
Just don't let me catch you offshore drilling.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah.
That,
Dude, can you imagine
What a
pulling
weird
out a
bundle.
vape on an offshore
Yeah.
drill and just being like, "What are you gonna
tons
do?"
of guys have to do it, dude.
I'm
You know they
offshore.
do. They're like, man, yeah,
Guess
my
I'm
life's
back to
over.
dip.
Yeah.
All right. So when did you start wrestling?
So you knew me. Did you know me? You knew me when I moved here,
Yeah.
briefly, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Through my cousins, through my family.
Right.
So you asking this is really good because you know what I was like beforehand, which was a drunken, drug-addled mess.
Right.
I was.
I've
and
witnessed some of that.
You
But
did witness some of this.
Yeah.
So see, that's good because most people are just like, "How'd you start?" I'm like, "Oh, no," they don't care. They don't know. But you've seen both sides
Right.
of it. So I'm just going to be really honest here. I took way too much LSD one day, way too much. It was supposed to be 4 hits. It ended up actually being 8 actual hits. Don't do LSD unless you're
Jeez.
really emotionally, mentally prepared for it. So I ended up tripping for 4 days, and I missed work because of it. And I had to go to them and be like, I'm screwed up.
Yeah.
Right.
God, sorry.
Yeah.
I told you, man.
We'll beep it.
Ended up going to the hospital. Jordan took me to the hospital. My cousin got out, and I was like, all right, I'm going to probably go to rehab. And I cut everything out. This was 2013. No drinking, no drugs. I'm still huffing a nicotine vape, but other than caffeine and nicotine,
Right.
I'm clean. And after I did that, I was like, okay, here's how much I'm spending a month on weed. Here's how much I'm spending a month on booze. Here's how much I'm spending a month on just going out and being a general piece of crap. I got to put this into something else. And I'd always thought in my head, pro wrestlers are just made in a factory. There's no way me or you could just become pro wrestlers and it would work out successfully. I was like, in the middle of this acid trip, I'm thinking all this as well. And I was like, screw it. I was like, I'm going to go get trained. So I had been to a WWE developmental show, which used to be a lot smaller. It's now called NXT. It's very popular.
Right. I'm familiar.
I was high as a kite just watching wrestling. Loved it. I've loved wrestling forever, but not getting in there.
Yeah.
And this dude, White Trash Fred, came up to me because I couldn't start my car afterwards. And he was like, "I'll start your car." I was like, "All right." This dude, missing teeth. I swear to you.
Lived up to
This
it.
gets better. So he gives me a picture after he starts my car, and it's a picture of him holding a championship and says, "Follow your dreams, bro." And he was like, find me if you ever want to train. I was like, all right, cool. Put it in my car. Literally, I found that picture again after I got sober and was like, I'm calling this dude. And for the next 9 to 10 months of my life, every single Sunday I was driving out to Live Oak, Florida. He had a field with a ring in the middle of it. Like rain or shine, 150 degrees, whatever it was out there. I was out there training with this dude. And I hit a point where I was like, I don't think this dude knows any more wrestling. Like, I think he's told me everything he knows. So I just started lying to bookers and like getting paid to do it and learning on the road.
Just kind of learning as you're
Wow.
going.
Yeah. And we're 5 years later now. So I've been, I guess, professionally wrestling, like paid to wrestle for a little over 4 years. But in it total at
So-
5.
It's unbelievable.
So I know a lot of wrestlers kind of, when they're getting started, like you'll see you'll see a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then you'll kind of look at his bio, and he was like Stunning Steve. And he was all these. So how many characters have you been? I mean, I know
One
you're
and
Effy
only,
now.
dude. I'm
so
Effy.
You are Effy.
Wow.
Since day one, I've been Effy. The only time I've not wrestled as Effy is I got to wrestle as the Chief Hopper from Stranger Things at a cosplay festival. So, like, there's a wrestling company that runs exclusively at Comic-Con type events. And there was a horror con in Orlando. And basically, like, by Saturday night, like, Sunday morning is going to be its own little thing. But by Saturday night, there's nothing to do. Everybody's in town. They want to party. They throw these huge wrestling shows and just bring in all these pro wrestlers who... If you were a real wrestling fan, you'd be like, oh my God, I got to see them do this. But like, these aren't wrestling fans. They're just like, we're dressed as horror characters, do something silly. So we get to go out there and just have these ridiculous.
Gosh.
It was me as Chief Hopper versus a girl, Shotzi Blackheart, as the nun. So it was just me like smoking fake cigarettes and trying to take a nun out. It was crazy.
So it sounds like to me that this Effy character, I'm pretty familiar with Effy.
Yeah.
I don't know how familiar Clint is. I know
I'm not.
Brian's-
I'm almost not familiar at all.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
This is
So-
wonderful.
Yeah.
So go ahead and real quick describe for us Effy.
All right, so in wrestling, and as is with all entertainment, they tell you got to be able to describe it in a sentence, right?
Right.
So I'm not that guy. To me, it's very easy for a guy to like put on an outfit and be like, "This is my character," but I want mine to have dimension and layers. And if you just want to be the casual fan who's like, "Oh, look at that boy in pantyhose, screw him, we gonna boo him," that's cool. We can exist on that level. But I want that like. I want it to go all the way down to where like you keep noticing things about me. So like even the name Effy. The name Effy is a shortened version of the biblical name Ephraim, which means bearing much fruit.
Okay.
Because I knew, especially as I was starting, and you don't see yourself going national when you're starting out. You're just like, I hope I can get booked. And it's a whole different circus now. But I was like, everyone in the South is really Christian and biblical. I was like, I can play off that and be this ultimate bad guy, and I'll use their name against them, and we'll make it this whole thing. But also, when you say phonetically the name Effy, what comes to mind for me as a wrestling fan is WWF and WWE. There's the transition. The WWE transition happened when they become a public company. They go PG shortly after this. The product is more family friendly. The product is more entertainment based. But before that was WWF. It was dirtier. It was grimier. It was adult. It was wild. I want to present both sides of that. So I'm the F and the E.
Wow.
Right. So then you look at my character when I come out.
Mind blown right now.
I told you, this
Going.
is deep stuff, dude. So I come out when I present myself through the curtain. Every wrestler is very dramatic, whether they tell you or not. We get entrance themes and we choreograph our entrance. And I mean, down to the second if you watch some of these guys. And it's impressive at first, but like the 200th time you see it, you're like, we are so weird. Somebody called wrestlers buff theater kids the other day. And I was like, that's all. I mean, literally, we're just like juiced up and looking at each other. And we're like, bro, I don't know. I think you should raise one arm instead of both when you do the corner entrance. So I come out, I'm in this pink or purple sparkly jacket, depending on how I'm feeling. I'm wearing fishnet tights down my legs. I'm covered in chest hair. And I present this very sexually, not even ambivalent, but just like overreaching sexual figure who's telling you to buy stuff, who's telling you, you know, you need to look good, go have fun, do your thing. And somebody called me on it the other day, and the truth is I've modeled a lot of what my image is after the character him from Powerpuff Girls. Do you remember this character?
I remember.
It was the
I'm a
big
little
red
too old
devil.
for
It was
this.
very sexually
he's
vague.
way too old.
Yeah, you are. What are you, like 72?
Yep.
Basically.
Okay.
Yep, 70.
You got 9 kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was this very like sexually ambiguous devil creature with crab hands and fishnets on, and I really looked to that, and it was like, okay,
right
you're
there,
pulling
yeah.
it up on there. That's incredible. Yeah. So obviously, I don't have
Okay.
frill around my neck, but it's this sort of like, it's a man. It's doing what it wants. Very like pushy forward. And I know we're in a building in a safe space right now, but at its core, it's this alternate side of the devil, which is everyone wants to show up, especially in wrestling.
Yeah.
If you look at the theme music, there's two types of theme music. There's hardcore rap, let me get you pumped up, and the worst like Disturbed covers you've ever heard.
Right.
So everybody thinks they're cool, but nobody's self-aware enough to actually be cool.
Sure.
And when you're self-aware, you can goof on yourself a little bit. Well, to me, the devil is not showing up in gothic clothing with eyeliner and spikes and, oh, I'm so spooky. To me, he's like, hey, bro, dump the body, dude. It's cool. Like, nobody's looking over there. Chill out, man. We're going to go get Frito pies. Come on. Quit wasting your life worrying about this stuff. So it's this very like, no, man, buy the shirt. Get another shirt. It's a new color.
Right.
Like, and what I found is, as I started as this really strong, like, sexual heel, people started latching on to me, and I couldn't break their hearts enough to stop them. But it shows you sort of that pull of the devil
Right.
when
Yeah.
I can vaguely play it out, and people are like, because this isn't me like tooting my own horn, but people like certain wrestlers. But what I've found is there are people that are very, very intensely in love with the Effy world and the character. And it might just be because I build worlds well. I introduce characters. I show you in my video work and in my promotions, this whole world around Effy that you can sort of feel into more than just like, my name's Bill, I'm going to beat you up on October 7th. It's much more nuanced and spread out. But I think it's also that secondary fact of people not really realizing that, like, I understand what I'm doing. I'm very aware of some of the stuff that happens, and you're never even going to notice that it's the devil
Yeah.
putting you in these positions. It's me. I'm fun. I'm smiling. We're having a good time. Elton John's on. I'm wearing a sparkly jacket. We're going to beat people up.
Right.
And as people become more aware of that, obviously the turn is going to be really intense
Yeah,
when I change my path.
I never would have guessed that, because I think I saw one clip on
Yeah.
YouTube that they pulled up, and I was like, oh, sweet, I never would have guessed that it would have been that intentional. But now that you're kind of breaking it down, I feel like a lot of the best wrestlers, and it obviously beyond wrestling too, anybody that's just like getting out there and creating, you have to think about like the A to Z.
Take it
You
down
gotta-
the line, man.
Yeah.
Because, people talk about 5-year plans all the time. I legitimately made a 5-year plan, and I basically said to myself, if I'm 5 years into this game, which I'm a little ahead, and I'm not getting my flights paid for, and I'm not getting my hotels paid for, and I'm working for chump change in front of the same people, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
I love wrestling, but in a way, being this intensely obsessed with professional wrestling, I took my first weekend off from wrestling last weekend, the 3rd and 4th. Since June, I had not had a single weekend off from professional wrestling.
Jeez.
And some of those weekends are 1 date. That's fine. Some are 2, some are 3, some are Wednesdays. So if I'm able to not reach that level, because to me, it's not, you're the WrestleMania main event, or you need to get out of the water. I realize there's a mid card. I realize there's smaller guys that are going to make good paychecks, but it's go for the top or go home.
Yeah.
And so you have to be from the start protective of that character, protective of who's copying you, protective of what's on the move and what's next, and not getting stuck in the same thing for a long time. You got to think, if you're a professional wrestler, you're going to wrestle. Let's say you do this full time. So we'll say 4 or 5 days a week you're wrestling, right? Everywhere's a new town. You might go to places a few times. You've constantly got to be updating what you're doing. And guys get in that comfortable position, and they're big. Everybody wants them. We're bringing them in. We're paying them $7,000 to come in. I mean, there's some paychecks in wrestling that are ridiculous. But after a year, they've been doing the same thing. And after another year, they're doing the same thing, but they look worn out. And then the next year, nobody really wants to bring you back. So you can't stick on the same thing. There's moments I can look at my career where I've popped. I wouldn't say I've peaked, but I've popped. I fought a little girl recently. That popped my career, right?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. So that's a whole...
Obviously. As it would.
But to get away from that for a moment, you've got to constantly go, okay, I explained it to a guy the other day. I took a seminar. I don't normally take seminars, and I'm known in the wrestling community, for those who know me, for talking a lot of crap about wrestling, because there's parts of wrestling that are absolutely horrible. There's parts of wrestling that are really fun.
Yeah.
One of the horrible things is, let's say you worked at a TV company like WWE. You worked there for a year. Now you can go around the country and say, you're going to pay me $500 to come in. You're going to pay for my flight. You're going to pay for my hotel. You're also going to give me another $500 and I'll teach your kids for 2 hours. Now the kids are going to come pay $40 because we're going to learn from a TV superstar.
Yeah.
Some of these seminars are really great. Some are trash. And you never really know what you're getting from people. You might go to one and they're like, run laps for an hour and we're going to do crunches and drills. And you're going, dude, I do cardio all week. I don't need to come here and pay you $40 to do drills. You go to some and they're like, we're not doing any wrestling today. We're going to do character work. We're going to really get into your stuff. That's great too. I attended this seminar as kind of a favor to a promoter. And I won't name the guy I was with, but he's going through down the line. And, you know, a lot of the guys don't have as much experience. They're very new in wrestling. They call it green. Mm-hmm. You may not have a lot of in-person live experience. And he asked me and said, well, what's your gimmick? And I go, my gimmicks last as long as the t-shirts. He says, what does that mean? I said, I order 100 t-shirts. I'm that gimmick until those shirts are sold. And then I'm a new gimmick. So, and he's looking at me like he's never heard this before. I said, dude, you've got to constantly be changing. I said, at the core, I'm always the same person. But Effy Works Clean shirt Effy is working different than Smash the Patriarchy shirt Effy or Demon Logo shirt Effy, which is on the back of my my custom made
Nice.
track gear right now. Because I knew visually, I said, why would I make custom made track gear? Because visually when I show up, somebody's going to go, that jackass thinks he's so cool.
Yeah.
But then they're going to realize I am so cool. I want you to be against me before you're for me. I feel like I'm jumping around a lot here.
No.
I got a question.
Yeah, cut me off wherever,
no.
man.
So I grew up watching wrestling. I've since gotten out of it a little bit, like the WWE wrestling, but I grew
Same.
up watching it. I was like big time Attitude Era. That was when I was deep in wrestling. So like the way that you developed Effy and those are the characters I like. They were like the bigger than life. They had multiple layers to them. And you know, I'll be honest, like when I started getting out of wrestling, it was like the John Cena types. To me, that did nothing for me. It's like, you're just a dude and out there, you know. And so it kind of got boring to me. You know, the Randy Ortons, the John Cenas, the Miz, you know. To me, so how did those guys, how did they do that? Like, because it didn't do it for me. And maybe that's just a preference thing.
So I think now, especially with them being a public traded company, it's a lot harder for them to get away with some of the stuff they did. Obviously, I'm not saying you need like filth and craziness and whatever, but as far as having characters, you've got to be the character who goes in the ring and you're a bad guy all week and you're going to house shows and thousands of people are booing you. And then you've got to stand there and go, I'm so honored to be a part of WWE's Make-A-Wish program. This is so exciting to be able to help the kids. It's so great. So having those dual sides where you're appealing to shareholders who are not necessarily wrestling fans, but want to have this wonderful reputation and we're going to help everyone in the community and we're going to cure breast cancer this month and we're going to do this. You can't really have these larger than life characters that can't be brought back down to do a press conference or to sit in on a conference call or to be able to talk about, we would love to have you subscribe to the WWE network. I mean, can you imagine like 1998 Undertaker, like sitting in a screen, not in his gimmick going, we would really love for you to subscribe to our service so you can see all the wrestling and more 24 hours a day. It's crazy to think that. And he's at a point now where he's showing up once a year so you don't have to worry about it. You can still have that character exist with that, but when you're doing 270 dates a year and you've also got to wake up for radio press and you've also got to go to Saudi Arabia and make that sound okay, it's really hard to be that out there without, you know, being able to reel it in and say, oh, also I'm a person. And you'll see that now, like the Twitter game, the social media game, the Facebook game, a lot of them will have like, here's my performer name, here's my real name. And they want to create that separation so that there's not as much pushback on the performer where he can say, ho, I told you guys my real name was Tony.
Yeah. I'm
not actually this guy. It's, you know, it's part of a TV show where profitability for that in the past would have been non-existent. You couldn't have somebody come and go, wait, hey, it's not real. Hold on. I'm an actor. It would have killed the business back in the day. It's almost reversed itself to where like, if you have too much mystery and you're not willing to be forward and open as a company, then that's going to kill you now. It's completely switched.
See, so the Undertaker, that was my guy.
Yeah.
See, that was the one. So we, you know, obviously no social media back when I was a kid. I mean, no Wikipedia. You didn't even know his real name.
Oh yeah.
And you were like every week he came in and killed a guy.
Yeah, dude, the dead, and then rose from the dead.
He killed a guy. Yeah,
they
or
would
he's
burn
like
him in a
popping out
coffin.
of coffins, and you're like, and it was legitimately like
Yeah.
scary. That bell would ring, those lights would
You
go
knew
down,
the fog
and you're
machines
like,
come up.
oh man, the Undertaker is coming out. The crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
and like. And so like I get like that's what drew me to it. It was that mystery behind it. And I think when, now like that, what are they like, that fourth wall's down a lot
Yeah,
more.
100% down.
And guys are just kind of and they're skilled. They're really skilled. But even, I was a big Stone Cold fan too. That character, I love that character. But even The Rock, I like The Rock, but that was when it started. I was like, okay, you're just like The Rock.
But I'm going to take the three names you just said and make a really valid point, which
Okay.
is The Rock, Stone Cold, and The Undertaker. I can name probably two moves for each guy, right? Like The Rock would be the people's elbow and the rock bottom.
Right.
The Undertaker would probably just be the tombstone pile driver. Same with Kane,
Right.
larger than life characters. And Stone Cold, dude, it's the stunner. But if you really look at their in-ring work, today's in-ring work is incredible, unmatched. We've never had wrestling this good, this athletic, this competitive. If you look back on those guys' matches, you'd be like, match-wise, not great.
Right.
But they were able to rely on character work and charisma to make something where people were like, I got to see what The Rock's going to do. I got to see what Stone Cold's going to do to Vince
Right.
McMahon. The focus was not as much on, did they have, a 7-star match with every move possible, that went 30 minutes. It was like, that was not the point. The point was the end of a story. And guys lose that in wrestling nowadays, where they're like, I got to do this move and this move and this move. I mean, if you went to an independent wrestling show right now, you would see the coolest things you've ever seen. Things that are humanly should not be possible. You'd look and go, that dude just broke his neck. I mean, I can show you some stuff how you go, well, but does any of that connect with the person beyond being a move?
Right.
Right? Are you leaving the venue going, man, so-and-so did a really good job tonight? Or are you saying, dude, that move was crazy. What was his name? I don't know, but that move was crazy. As a performer, as a storyteller, as a wrestler, I don't ever want to be categorized and stuck in that box. It goes back to changing it up. I don't have a move set. I change it up all the time. I might have a couple things I go back to, but in a lot of cases, guys are seeing that, okay, these are my 5 moves, these are your 5 moves, let's figure them out together and have our match, and it's repeated over and repeated over and repeated over. No wonder people are turning the TV off. They're watching the same match they watched 3 years ago. You can't rely on moves and technical skill to make something important and, how do I put it, understandably attainable as a story,
Well, I mean, that's where. So obviously, like anything, the wrestling has its ebbs and flows. WWE does, but it's always there. It's a consistent thing. I mean, the ratings go up, they go down, kind of depending on the storyline, what's happening. They're just the generation that they're wrestling in. But I'm telling you, I think Effy's the guy to bring it back. I think you're coming back in. Everybody's tired of these shaved face, just overly handsome, like super hairless, ripped guys. We want that attitude back in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's got to
right
come
now
back.
Is most of the guys who are in TV positions, whether it's, and I'll name the 3 major companies right now, whether it's WWE, whether it's Ring of Honor, whether it's TNA Impact. Those would be your 3 major players in United States TV.
Isn't TNA under WWE though?
So they're not. NXT is under WWE. That's their developmental.
Okay.
But TNA has existed as its own sort of weird side, hey, I got fired, can I come over here? TV sort of deal without a lot of money. But the guys who are in charge of that are the same guys from the 80s and 90s who were in charge of stuff then. So when you see me and you see what I do, and some of the stuff I do is controversial, I'll agree. Some of the stuff I do is out there. Nobody can touch me on a promo video or on a promo on the mic. Nobody can. And I'll say that to the world. What they realize when they start talking to me in business terms and negotiating a contract and figuring out what they can do with me is that I will listen, but I will not always take your advice. And I've seen continued success after I've had to put a middle finger in a lot of people's face that are very important people that say, your career rests on this, or, I can block you from getting into this company, or you have to sort of go, no, man, I know what I'm doing. You have not reached the pinnacle. You have not been at the top of the pack. Why would I take your advice?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get me somewhere, but I'm not, because I'm in the world of wrestling. When you start out, they tell you every day, they go, you got to pay your dues. Pay your dues in wrestling, right? So paying your dues might mean driving somebody for free. Paying your dues might mean putting the ring up and taking the ring down, and it might be 1 a.m. Paying your dues might be showing up early to train or take a seminar with someone. I got to a point and I said, I'm done paying my dues. I actually took apart a ring for the first time in a few years the other week, and it felt great. I felt like I was really a part of the team. But when I stopped being everybody else's gopher, which these guys are, because what they get told is, hey, man, if you'll just pay your dues, your time will come. And I look around, even at big companies. I mean, companies that draw in 2,000, 3,000 people, got to pay your dues, man. You'll get in there. And I go one year and I wrestle on these shows, and I see the guy there who's paying his dues. And I'm there the next year, and he's still paying his dues. And I go, when are you gonna? Oh, well, they're finding a spot for me. Well, they found a spot for me, and I haven't paid any dues here. So go ahead and look at what you're doing, because if you're not out there grabbing for yourself and making your own path, especially in wrestling, which is a cowboy freaking world out there, then you're going to get left behind. And I see guys left behind all the time, and they're frustrated. And they'll message me like, well, how do I get so many bookings? Like, you make yourself a commodity.
Well, another thing with paying your dues, I don't always think paying your dues is just doing grunt work. Paying your dues is obviously capitalizing on the position that you're given, but respecting that somebody put you there, and respecting that. So yeah, you may not have been like taking apart rings as long as this guy are mopping the floors, but the positions and the places that you were put, you understood the importance of it, you respected that, and you worked hard there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that is paying your dues, because everybody gets different opportunities. Yeah. But if you're always complaining about, oh man, I'm just paying my dues doing this, and that's when you're always, that guy's asking you like, hey man, how do I get there? How do I do that?
And I think it jumps back to the self-awareness thing too. So like, I think of wrestling as acting. It is improvisational physical theater in the round, much like Shakespeare did. But in a way, the improvisational part is what's up for it. I might have a conversation with you where I say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. You say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I go, we got 15 minutes. Let's put it where we want. We're whispering the whole time. Right. We're figuring it out. We're going on the fly. Having that sense of freedom to feel on an audience is great. But back to what I'm saying about self-awareness. Let's say you get put in a match. It's the first match on the card. They say, dude, we only want you to do 7 minutes. Hot opener, get them going. And you go out there and you go 4 minutes over your time, which now ate into my match. You did every move you've ever learned, which now eats into my card, eats into what I'm doing. And then you stay in the ring an extra minute after just to soak in the glory. Be self-aware. If your spot is a 7-minute opening match, as a wrestler, you should go, we're going to do basic stuff. We're going to get it over in 7 minutes. We're going to open the show. We're going to move on to what they paid to get in here for. I mean, can you imagine a UFC undercard match going 25 minutes? No way.
It'd be unbelievable. Yeah.
And you're sitting there as a performer, and the first few times it's cute. Wow, that match was great. I'm glad. It's okay. You went over 3 minutes. But when you start sitting in these main event spots every week, and it's 10 o'clock, and I should have been on 15 minutes ago, and 4 of the matches went overtime. So now I don't have as much time, and we've got to be out of the building by 11. Now I'm going to go rush through a main event to make up for it. And it's hard to have that perspective when you're starting out, because you're going, oh, I got a spot, I got to do it. But the people in charge, what they're looking at is, can you follow the directions and can you get the spot done?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to go out there and have an Undertaker match. I want 7 minutes, dude. You don't even have to do much. Get in and get out. Your payday's the same.
You know what? It's funny because I remember thinking, one thing that always impressed me about wrestlers was it never, you're going to go in there some days, you're going to win. You're going to go in there some days, you're going to lose. You follow, you're part of this like bigger story that's being told. And you got these big guys, these big athletic guys, and you would think that, and I'm sure to some extent there's a lot of ego in wrestling, but really, well, I'm sure there's a lot of ego, but I think when it comes to like the greater good of like, hey, this is what we're here to do. This is the league that we're in. This is a story that's being told. This is my loss, your win. It seems that like there's a lot of ego taken out of it in a way.
There should be
for guys that succeed anyway. The guys that are successful.
Is this live?
No.
Can I pee?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, dude. If you got to pee, go for it.
Do you know where the bathroom is?
Hold that point. No, I don't know anything.
Okay. Yeah, go out there, hang a left.
I'm not coming back.
He's
He
gone.
may not come back.
He's gotta go.
Yeah, come on back, man.
Yeah. Dude,
Effy, we
I
got
know.
him here.
I'm loving this.
Were you into wrestling ever?
No, not really. I've never really been. It was big, obviously, but I was a baby in the '90s, so like I
remember watching it like around like early 2000s, like when WWE was still kind of a thing.
Yeah, right. And
but
honestly,
my parents would always be like, "What do you? That's fake." And so it was never for me. none of my friends really watched it, so it was for me. I always knew it was fake, and there was never that like. There's just never like a awe thing to it. Like I just wasn't ever like.
I never really took the
super
time to
into
dive into the characters that were being done because it was kind of the same thing. It's like
Right.
I kind of felt like from a young age, like I knew, oh well, this
You know,
this isn't real.
I was
but-
into it when I was like younger, 8, 9, 10. I kind of got out of it and then got back into it like 17, 18, 19. And then obviously then it's fake.
Yeah.
Or that it's rehearsed, but like that to me, that's when the WWE was telling like the best stories and like
Yeah, it's
they
entertaining.
really brought in like what they did in that time was the owners, Vince McMahon, like there was this whole fight against like corporate and like the wrestlers, so like the owners were out there getting body slammed and body slamming people, and it was kind of like you felt like you were seeing like whoa, this whole thing's getting ready to fall apart. you know? So we were just talking about the WWE, like I guess it would still be like that Attitude Era they call it, when when Vince McMahon was always out there and like it was
when he was a character.
when he was a character basically, and like his kids and what was that called, the corporation, what was
The corporation.
the corporation yeah, so and they were bad guys, and like they were against the wrestler, so I that to me, I was a little bit older then. Obviously, that this is like pre-rehearsed, but it was just cool. It was awesome, and like the wrestlers were cool.
Yeah.
I want to jump back to your ego comment here real quick because I
go
thought of something when I walked out of here. So in one of the first years that I was working shows, there was an ex-WWE guy on the show, and I'm not going to name names. Very nice, very cordial, shook everybody's hands, talked to everybody. And he was supposed to be the main event that night because everybody had paid to come see this guy. That's the draw on the card. And he went up to one of the guys who was in a lower match. And he goes, "Kid," he goes, "I know you're popular around here. I really want you to take this main event spot, and I'll go on earlier. You can have the moment." He goes, "Oh, man." The two opponents are talking, "Man, oh, man, we're the main event." Then I realized he just wanted to leave by intermission. So he switched spots with this dude who was like match 4, got his stuff done, sold some shirts at intermission, and left. The ego of you as a newer person in wrestling would say, "Man, this is my spot, my hometown. I got this main event." And when that gets used on you in wrestling, what you see is it's usually somebody else just trying to get something done for themselves.
Yeah.
Ego should be not even a little part of it. If you came to me and you're like, "Hey, this guy's 4 feet tall and has one leg. You're going to put him over tonight. Make sure he looks good. 20 minutes." Yes, sir. My paycheck's the same.
Right.
I don't care. And they'll go, "How could you?" Same thing. I fought that little girl. I fought a very small girl. I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring her back
Tell
up.
me a little bit about that. I just want
All
to
right.
just.
I got pinned by this little girl. I lost a title, a championship to this little girl. So basically, there's a TV show on WWE Network called NXT. It's where
Okay.
they put their developmental talents. You get TV time, you get touring experience. They're basically like, "Hey, you don't know what you're doing. We're going to get you ready for prime time."
Yeah.
But there's this little girl who's always in the audience. And they started using her in some of their like promo videos, and she was a huge fan of one of the women's wrestlers, and they would interview her, and she would always be around. You would always see her, and she started training to wrestle. It was really inspirational. She did a gig spot this last year where it was like a scramble match. There's a lot of us in it. She came into the match and kicked me in the head, which was easy, whatever. But people thought it was hilarious. Then I had her parents come to me and they said, "Well, she's been training at this wrestling school that's legitimate for about 6 months. Would you do like a little spot match with her at this show?" I was like, "Oh, 100%. So we're calling this match, and I decided to say, I said, "How you feel about doing a choke slam?" She said, "Yeah, I'll do a choke slam." I said, "Okay, so let's practice it." I'm practicing it. Put her up, put her down. We get in the match, and I go and I grab her by the throat, this 12-year-old girl. And everybody thinks it's just going to be like, "Oh, he's not going to throw the kid." Dude, I lifted her to the ceiling, and people can believe what they want to believe. I set her down so gently and just like lived in. People were like, "Whoa!" She ends up continuing the match and beats me with a Stone Cold Stunner, which I backflip out of. And I've always joked and said, like, nobody asked me how my neck was after the girl attacked me. But it goes online and 100,000s of views in a week of like, "This is such trash. I can't believe this." I was like, "Hold up, wrestling world."
Yeah.
It's fake. It's
Right.
make believe. And they're like, "Well, she doesn't understand the trauma she's doing to her brain. We'd never let her." Her trainer came out and was like, "We'd never let her bump." And I was like, "Go through her Instagram feed because you literally bumped her
Bump,
the
what's
other
bump?
week." Oh, a
yeah,
bump.
yeah.
Yeah, I told you Carney Talk
Right.
would come
Yeah.
up. Bumping is the physical act of falling in the ring, right?
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
When they teach you how to bump, you'll see when people take a bump, they will throw their back into the mat. Common bump procedure would be to tuck your neck down so your neck is protected and to slam your back into the ring. Makes a big loud noise. It doesn't hurt after the first few years. And it's very safe. Your whole back is taking it. Not your low spine, not your legs, not your knees. Your back, the width of your shoulders is taking that mat, and you are to attack the mat because we are working together. And if you throw me, yeah, I can just fall, but it's not as safe as me really forcefully putting myself into it, taking the mat, and it looks better for the other person. So she's giving it her all, taking this choke slam bump from a grown man. And she pins me at the end and takes my title. And, all these WWE people are, this is so disgusting and this and this. And I really held my tongue that week because they were all talking and everybody was saying, you must have so much heat. Heat is when people are mad at you for real.
Yeah.
Oh, you got so much heat. It can also be if you're a bad guy and the fans hate you, like, oh, brother, you got the heat tonight, baby. Man. Yeah. And I said, guys, is heat the same thing as my inbox being full? Because if it is, I have a lot of heat. And I'm booked through February. So this was August. And I'm just like, I let everybody else do the talking. One of my favorite wrestlers, Lance Storm, called me an idiot. And I thought that was a real prime moment for me. But because of that, my reputation in wrestling is like, oh, did he beat up this little girl? That's disgusting. And it's like, hey, if you hate me for that reason, perfect. Here's my rate. Bring them in. They'll hate me even more.
Yeah, I feel like that fits Effy perfectly.
It is. It is.
Perfectly.
Have you ever run into a situation? Because I've been interested just in wrestling in general because I know a lot of it is going in. Exactly. Hey, you're taking this one or whatever. Yeah. Have you ever run into a situation where there was somebody that was either just super heated, just really turned up, and kind of went either too far or it got
in particular, what I see a lot of times is people will talk a lot while I'm in the ring.
Okay.
But when they see me in person, they're not going to mess with me as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, thank God there are guys who will just if you make contact with me as a physical wrestler, they will just start beating you, legitimately beating you, which in the olden days, that was one of the promoters back in the day from Wisconsin or wherever. He said that if his guys went out to a bar and somebody tried to start a fight with them and they lost, they were fired. So there is sort of this, especially in the past and into now and in the South, this idea that it's okay to be violent towards the wrestlers or yell at them or track them in the parking lot. And you hear stories of guys saying oh, this dude jumped in the ring with a knife. I had to get my dude out of there. Or, harassing you after the show. Right. It doesn't happen as much anymore. And I have a very sharp tongue when it comes to it. So I've dealt with a lot of homophobic remarks.
Okay.
And I will shut that down.
Yeah.
Very quickly. So, and fortunately now, I won't work shows if I don't have fun at them or feel comfortable at them. Right. I used to work in Dothan, Alabama a lot. And then I'm going to use this word because I want people to understand what was said to me. I had a promoter tell me, can you really fag it up for me tonight? Mm. And I said, what's in it for me? And he said, I'll double your pay. And I said, all right, I'll do it. So I came out with a women's wig and some rings on my fingers on. He said, that was great. But I won't put myself in those situations anymore. And I've grown from them and learned from them. But when you deal with that hate, it's almost a little surprising nowadays. But then you go, oh, this kind of feels like the olden times. You know, I mean, I can point out probably 20 venues in Georgia where I've been called a faggot. So it's just people sitting in the audience. But on another spin of that hatred, of that violence, of people coming up to you, I've said this before and I'll use the same terminology. I'm by no means any beacon of hope to all the homo little children out there, but when they see me in there taking this hatred from whoever's in the audience, or they see me on a poster and tell me, hey, we felt okay actually coming to a wrestling show, which historically has been a very hateful, racist, homophobic, terrible place. It's awesome because you're sort of saying hey, this guy can call me this. I can shut him down. You may not be me, but you can see that it's possible to shut this crazy stuff down and to talk back to these people, and that they're just people in a chair. Don't let them control your life. So I hope people can see that and say, oh, we felt more comfortable coming to shows because of you, or we saw the way you took care of that dude that was harassing. And a lot of wrestlers can't think on their feet like that, which you'd think in wrestling, you should be able to think on your feet, but they'll get chewed up by these dudes or whoever it is. And it might be a grandma doing it.
Well, going back, I want to go back to when you're talking about taking the bumps. Mm-hmm. So, I think the word fake, I mean, it gets thrown around so much. Like that's called, it's predetermined outcome. But nothing is fake. I mean, you guys are flying through the air. You guys are falling. You guys are hitting. I mean, the whole thing, none of that's fake. You guys all these wrestlers are tremendous athletes. Now for you personally, like, are you seeing any like physical, like, is it taking a physical toll? Like, are you like waking up in the morning and like taking a bottle of ibuprofen and like just like wondering like what happened,
There's a culture in wrestling to brag about things like this. So like you'll talk to a guy and he'll be like, yeah, dude, my neck's so screwed up. I drove 12 hours here. I'm going to drive 12 hours back. Like I'm going to do all these stupid things in the match. And you're like, oh, dude, like this isn't something to brag about. But being that we do this all the time and you sort of see these same people all the time, you're sort of like, yeah, dude, I drove here 8 hours. I'm now going to get thrown on the floor, 20 to 30 times. And I'm going to sit back in a car all cramped up. It's not healthy by any means.
Yeah.
I do a lot of hot yoga now to remedy that. And I'm a lot more careful than I was in the first few years. I mean, like I can look back on some of the stuff I did and was just like, oh, just bad ideas, concussions.
Right.
Continuing matches after real scary bumps that you do. Because some of them, I mean, like basic bumps, cool. But then you start getting into like, I'm going to do this on the apron bump or I'm going to do this on the floor. I had a guy ask me, he was like, can you suplex me on the floor? I was like, for what reason? Dude, like a ring at least has like a little give, but a floor doesn't have anything. It's just solid.
Do you have like a safe word if you get hurt? Like, Oklahoma.
So it's typically been throwing the X up. You throw the X up when you're really messed up. And the ref can check on you. But yeah, I mean, like I have good days with my knees and my neck, and I have really bad days with my knees and my neck. My chiropractor brought in his intern the other day when I showed up. He's like, "You just need to come see this."
Wow.
It's like, why? And he's like, "Dude, it looks like you've been in 30 car wrecks. Like it's always out of line."
Are you on this? You've probably heard it, but are you on this Diamond Dallas Page yoga?
I did it for a while. Man.
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
He was a professional wrestler, but now he's rehabbing a lot of these guys that are basic. I mean, they're broken dudes that have been wrestling for 30 plus years, and their bodies are broken. And he's got this yoga. He doesn't like to call it yoga, but it's his program that is yoga based.
Okay,
yoga for dudes.
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean. These guys are walking again. Not only that, these guys are like running
off
marathons
drugs,
and
walking,
off drugs.
Unbelievable.
So a lot of it's the unhealthy living that goes along with
the
that.
deeper you look into the DDP story, the crazier it gets, though, because DDP did not even start as a professional wrestler until he was 35 years old. He became a world champion, I think, at 39 or 40, and now he's in his late 60s. And now when I go into a locker room, there's a couple guys that might drink or a couple guys that might go smoke some weed. But for the most part, there's a lot more straight edge kids in professional wrestling than there are druggies and crazies. But back in the day, that's all these dudes knew was, okay, you're tired, take an upper. All right, you're done with the show. You got to understand, you're out in front of, 10, 15, 80,000 at a WrestleMania people performing. They're all chanting at you and screaming. That's a crazy adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And when you get out of there, if you don't take something to cool you off, you're going to be 3 or 4 hours before you can actually lay your head down and be like, all right, I'm good. So in that time when they didn't know as much danger about concussions as drug use, as all this stuff is going on, these dudes got real messed up. You're talking about, when you do a loop in WWE, you might fly into Austin, Texas, get a rental car. You might drive to Dallas, Houston, back to Austin. You've performed 4 times in 4 or 3 days, and then you fly home for 2 days, and then you're back doing the same thing somewhere else. It's a constant grind where they're also falling on their heads a bunch.
Yeah.
So you can see why these dudes went into drugs and why they needed this rehab, but it's good to see it shifting now. And especially even with like TV, like Impact TNA tapings, they do them once a month, 3 or 4 days of the month you tape. If you want to go take other bookings, you can. I'm going to pay you fairly for a month's worth of television, but you can go do other stuff if you want, but you don't have to. So having that where you can work 4 days a month and make your monthly, if you want to go make more, you can. We're starting to respect the human body a little bit more.
Yeah, that's great.
Even WWE's concussion policies now.
Right.
Girl Alexa Bliss had a concussion the other day. In the 90s, she would have been back in the ring in a week. They're like, you're fine. Now she's got to undergo concussion testing every week. She's got to run through the drills. She's got to be tested and scanned to be back in the ring. It's like a lot of older guys want to go, oh, this is lame. Dude, it's...
we're seeing the long-term effects now. We're getting into that time where those guys, I mean, hey, your peers in that same time frame. These guys are, I mean, they have a lot of issues, and the CTE. Obviously, anytime you're hitting your head, it's going to become an issue. So, it's a different environment now. Guys are like taking care of themselves, not just in the ring, but even physically. And
I think you see more care from the promoters too, who are like, "Hey, if you're injured, just like don't be here. I'll book you when you're safe. Like you're good, man." I had an incident that it came up again this week because some dude posted a GIF of me, and I had botched a move. A botch is when you just screw it up. I was supposed to go for this. It's a dive out of the ring, but I roll on the ropes and I roll back in. So it's like a fake out dive. The night before, a guy had handcuffed me to a ring post. We had discussed this. I said, if you hold the chair this way, and he's supposed to be a 30-year vet, if you hold the chair this way, tilted, you can hit the side of the ring post. It'll look like it hits my head. It'll make a great sound. It'll look like you're really getting me. 3 square shots to the front of my head. 3 square shots with a chair. I felt fine all night. I drove through the night. I got to North Carolina. We parked. We slept. Got to the venue. Felt okay. Little hot, little heated. I got in that ring, and I took my first bump, and I could not tell you where I was.
Wow.
So this dude put this GIF online and was like, LOL, what was this? I was like, it was a severe concussion that I was dealing with that ruined my body. So thanks. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing me that. People just don't know, though, what we kind of go through to get to that point. And I hope everybody takes more precaution nowadays with their bodies because
I read or listened to I listened to Diamond Dallas Page. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he was talking about, and I had heard some things about it before, but he was talking about that program and
it's
and
intense,
just,
man.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, he really truly has a heart to help people. Like it's not just I'm sure he's making money on it and it's what he's doing now, but you could just tell it was different. It was like it was like he's seen some of his best friends that are just dealing with all kinds of physical ailments.
And he locks them in in his house now. He makes guys come live with him in Atlanta. He goes, you either do it all the way or you get out.
That's unbelievable.
Scott Hall, sober, walking, able to take bookings.
What's the Jake the Snake documentary?
The Snake Roberts, dude. I think it's called The Resurrection of Jake the Snake.
You have got to watch this. Is
that a documentary?
Yeah, it's called The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. It is so
Jake
good.
the Snake got really bad into crack cocaine. Got really bad into methamphetamines, drinking every night, had blocked himself off from the world, essentially. I think was living in like North Dakota, and DDP went and checked on him and brought him to the house, and like he relapses 2 or 3 times, and he just keeps sticking with it. And now Jake is like booked at these big wrestling conventions and booked at these shows to come just be a manager.
Wow.
And it's crazy to see that shift where it's like, not only is he down 100 pounds or whatever it is, but he's also like able to speak coherently and make money off of his name now and not be trapped in a hotel room smoking crack, Gosh. It's insane.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. It seems like maybe from the outside, because especially just with because we were talking about it just while you ran out, where a lot of the time that we grew up with the WWE was like, we would turn it on and it's like, oh, this is fake. It's like, why? Or people would tell us, my parents, his parents, it's just like, oh, it's just fake fight, But like, so maybe it's even the respect from the outside, especially now with just the NFL, everybody's coming out, where like the dangers of it, and pro wrestlers are saying, yo, like this is actually happening. Like we're actually going out and I'm getting nailed in the head 3 times with a chair.
Don't hit me with a chair.
And so I think it's probably a lot of a collective thing too, where like, especially if you're fans, if they know that you're hurt, probably want you to,
not do that.
Exactly.
Anymore.
Yeah. They want you to go and get well,
too.
So that's encouraging.
Take 1,000 thumbtacks to the back than a chair shot.
What's the worst shot you've ever taken that you were like, I don't want that to ever happen again?
I'll say this one because I regretted it the most. I was working with a guy and he was real hesitant. Like you'll work with some guys and you're just like, why are you so hesitant? Just lay it in. If you know what you're doing, lay it in a little bit. And I said, dude, when you give me that kick, really make sure you get it. I said, I'll get my hand up. We'll be fine. This dude kicked me in the back of the head with a spin kick so hard, I went into slow motion going down to the ring. And I could have like written a whole novel during this like 2-second period where I was just like, I think I've been concussed. I don't know if I should continue. But you have those moments and you're like, oh man, like do I?
The moment of concussion is so clear. You're like,
so clear, dude.
That was a concussion.
Yeah.
Of all the big moves that I would see, the one that used to make me cringe the most was just when like one guy had another guy like against the turnbuckle and would do the backhand slap on the chest.
Well, that's the joke.
I was like, don't ever do that to me. So throw me off the ladder onto the tacks. Don't backhand slap my bare chest, please.
It's a real thing in wrestling that's the only move that actually hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other stuff that hurts,
Yeah.
but that, I mean, it's legitimate pain.
That'd be my ex.
But it's also the like sort of measure of toughness.
Right.
It's something that can't be faked to the audience. They know you're feeling pain.
Yeah.
You know, you've been slapped before. Everybody's been slapped or punched. You maybe haven't taken a tombstone pile driver or a power bomb or something other, but that pain actually reflects to the audience as something they can recognize. So it's also, I mean, it's a fun, important spot to do, but I understand why you would not want to do it. Some guys won't do it. They'll be like, "Don't chop me," but I'll take them all.
Well, now that I know that it's
Really?
like, now that I know it's
Yeah.
like a wrestling rite of passage,
Yeah.
I may take my shirt off and have you slap me.
Let's do
across
it,
the
man.
chest.
I'm
Well,
all
we
about
got
it.
a camera going.
0% chance that's happening.
You want to do
Especially
mine?
on camera. Especially on camera.
I did
There's
an
no way I'm crying in front of
intergender. I
everybody.
did an intergender match with a woman the other week, and she's crazy. I mean, like, she's a deathmatch wrestler who constantly is booked to like take light tubes to the face and skewers to the head, and always bleeding. This girl, and she started chopping my chest in the audience. Had me in an audience chair. And I popped her right up and sat her down, and I just started slapping her chest right back. And people were like, "You can't do that." And I was like, "No, I absolutely can do that.
I'm doing it
right now."
Yeah.
She consented. The difference between domestic violence and what I'm doing is she consented to come fight me. Okay?
Yeah.
She signed the form and said she's going to get in the ring. So it's totally okay.
Well, and if you have fishnet stockings on, I feel like
Yeah.
You probably.
Oh, of
you
course.
get you get the green light to do a lot more than
I sold a pair of my used fishnet stockings to an older man for $50, and I had to wrestle in overalls that night because I didn't have gear, but I wasn't going to turn down the payday.
Yeah, if somebody is like, dude, let
Yeah.
me buy
I
those
sell a
off
lot of
of you
used
right
gear
now.
to
That's
weird old
incredible.
All right, so
Jeez. That's unbelievable.
WWE calls. I'm giving you a hypothetical. here.
Yeah.
You get the call.
Yeah.
Vince. It's Vince himself.
Yeah.
And he wants you Monday Night Raw. He wants you in there, but he's like, we're gonna change your character. Are you doing it?
Here's the thing, dude. My character is whatever it is. I'm turning this into a longer tale, as you can probably
Right.
guess. Right now, in wrestling, if you get signed to NXT, which is their developmental, most of these guys say dream conquered. I got signed to the company. And then they get there, and they go, well, I'm here. Like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll do anything. And Vince McMahon is this old dude now, and old people are crazy. And he's especially crazy because he's an old man who's a billionaire who's made $1 billion off people having make-believe fights.
Right.
That's a real crazy person. So they get in there and they go, Vince, we'll do anything. What do you want us to do? And he just starts going, nah, you're going to dress up like a hot dog and dance. And they go, well, I got the paycheck. I got my dream job. I'll do anything you want, Vince. Not me.
Yeah.
When you get signed to this company, you are essentially a racehorse, right? They got a lot of racehorses they own. One of them's going to win that race, okay? One of them's going to run that track and win the race. But your position is to make them money. You will make money in the process, but they are bringing you in because they say, look, we think you can make us more money than we're making. We're hoping that's the case. That's why you get signed. It's not because your dream is fulfilled. It's not because you work so hard. I think you could make us money. So if I get the call from Vince McMahon, he says, Monday night, I'll give you 3 minutes on live TV. Here's what you're going to do. I'd also say, here's what I'm not going to do. What I'm not going to do is participate in Saudi blood money events. What I'm not going to do is let you have full creative input on my life. What I'm not going to do is accept a paycheck and not explain to you how we can make more money off of me. It is a business. I'm a businessman. I'm a PR major in college. I graduated with a degree in PR and African American studies. I love black people. It's probably not the most financially responsible decision, but it's helped me in a lot of other ways.
Yeah.
So I know how these companies work, man. And if you bring me in, I don't think they understand that I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, God, your dream contract. We're going to pay you $35K a year, and we're going to pay for an apartment in Orlando. Not my dream contract, dude. Like, if you can't meet the minimums I'm making now, that's the real problem is I make real life money.
Right.
And now I make a lot of wrestling money. So, like, to take the pay cut, I couldn't do it right now without some
Let's back up 1
provisions.
second.
Yeah.
Let's back up.
Back it up.
The Saudi blood money.
Yeah,
I
dude.
heard something about. So go a little deeper into this because
I'll go all the way deep with this and blow your mind.
It was wasn't it like the Prince of Saudi Arabia was like he was bringing in wrestling events,
bringing
right?
in wrestling. So in his tasking of trying to liberalize and westernize Saudi Arabia.
You let the ladies drive.
The new prince said, we're going to make some changes, okay? Now, Vince, his wife is in Trump's cabinet, so they got a pretty good political connection. But what you have to understand right now before I get into this is Vince McMahon is more connected to the Saudi prince, the prince of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince, than any other politician or person in the world. They signed what is reported to be between $500 and $800 million deal over 10 years to present these wonderful Saudi Arabian events. So the prince can say, look, I'm bringing you entertainment and wrestling. You love Kane and The Undertaker. They're going to come. Shawn Michaels is going to come out of retirement to wrestle a match bald.
Gosh,
so we can have this here for you. Now,
I get it.
At the first event, something happened and I figured everything out right then. Women are not allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. The women do not come to Saudi Arabia. But for one brief second, they showed a promo video and a woman wrestler came on the screen. It was Carmella, who is not even that popular of a woman wrestler. And that arena went crazy. All right? Whoa, this is the first event of a 10-year deal. They went crazy seeing her. More than they did for anything else that night. Wow. Whoa, Carmella's on the screen. They're not used to seeing women in media. They also played a video about how progressive Saudi Arabia is towards women. Women are driving now. They're allowed to read and go to libraries, and she can even take her hijab off if she wants. Now, this year, WWE does another. Well, I guess this is the second event of this year. They're doing another Saudi Arabia event. They did it last week. The week before that, they had an all-women's pay-per-view. Not in a suspect position at all a week before we do an event where women are not allowed. It's the Women's Revolution. An all-women's pay-per-view. One of the best rated as far as match quality of the year. People were going crazy over this women's pay-per-view. And then we go to Saudi Arabia and we ignore the journalist killing. We ignore the fact that all their money is messed up. We ignore the fact they kill gay people. We ignore the fact they're politically a little sketchy. We have this huge event. We want to bring this to Saudi Arabia. Now, meet me in the middle on this. Here's the PR deal. When WWE gets to announce that they are presenting the first ever women's wrestling match in Saudi Arabia next year or the year after into this deal, and that we have conquered this country that you thought was so backwards. You thought Saudi Arabia was backwards. Well, they have women's wrestling, and the WWE brought it. Dude, they are building a PR moment that will shift the world while also being the most false-faced thing in the world. This has been the plan since day one. We will westernize your country. We will bring you their events. We will give you these little moments where you can feel it coming. And then we will finally have this women's wrestling match in Saudi Arabia, and we will make a lot of money doing it. By that point, people are going to go, well, I know the blood money's bad. I know they killed the journalist. I know they've had a history of killing people. I know they've been really terrible to women, but there must be some progress. They brought a women's match in here when they've been planning that since 2016 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's they're PR masters, dude. They're so good at it. Except for the time Stephanie McMahon tweeted, charitable donations are the future of marketing, which was the dumbest thing I've ever seen someone. She literally was like, charitable donations and charitable advocacy is the future of marketing. And I was like, you don't say it out loud. Of course it is, babe. Right. Don't say it out loud. Yeah, dude, it'll be a big moment. Everyone will go, wow, Saudi Arabia is so progressive.
Yeah.
That's
like
interesting.
Everything's changing. Yeah.
I mean but Saudi Arabia, that's for years. I mean, I can't remember the exact number, but they have billions in our tech companies. I mean, they've been doing that for a long time. But I thought it was interesting. This wrestling thing is really like it's really catching on over there, and they're really promoting it a lot. But
like think about that for a second. If you live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and you're not royalty and you're dirt, and they tell you can go to a giant arena show with wrestling and fireworks, of freaking course you're going.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah. It's got to be massive.
Oh, I think they ran 100,000 building, like 100,000 seat arena for the last event they did.
It's unbelievable.
But what do you think? What's the right move for Vince McMahon in that situation? That you think? Like what's WWE's like? What's the move when Saudi Arabia comes knocking at the door with their billions, which they take out of their trillions?
Yeah.
You know what's
just turn
Vince
on
doing?
the oil faucet for a few minutes and say, hey, let's go. Here's what you have to understand about Vince that a lot of people don't know. Vince is completely shut off from the world. Vince doesn't watch TV. Vince doesn't watch anything but wrestling. Vince focuses on his company. He's not even watching politics. He's not even watching Fox News or anything. He is in WWE all the time, constantly. It's a bubble. If it doesn't exist in his world, it doesn't exist. So when the Saudis come, he's not thinking, what's the public outcry going to be? I know they have a bad reputation right now. All he sees is dang, well, we're going to Riyadh.
Yeah.
I'm going to make so much money. And even when they bring him these issues, hey, here's what people are talking about. No, we're not turning down money for that.
Yeah.
He's going to go get that money.
That's
and that's
a ton
why
of
he's
money.
a billionaire. He's
Right.
a billionaire.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's where Saudi Arabia's at now. I mean, this what Mohammed bin whatever his name is. I can't remember his last name, but yeah, he's the one that the women can drive over there now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And did you see that video of that girl that she shot like a rap video like in her car driving?
Stop it.
But it was like a 1989 like Camry or something, like not a cool car, but it was like she could drive. So
Yeah, I mean they have to promote that kind of stuff now that they're trying to, they have to change face.
Yeah. It makes the other stuff go away a little bit.
Yeah.
So what's the future hold? What's your next step? Like, I mean, obviously, I know you're not satisfied. You always want to continue.
I'm never satisfied, man.
But where do you want to go? Like, what do you want to do?
To me, and this is going to sound really ambitious, I see a shift in what wrestling is doing. So this year they held an independent wrestling event, and I'm putting my quotation marks up, called All In. All In was only independent wrestlers, not WWE guys who work in and out at shows that might have 100 people, might have 1,000 people. They sold out a 10,000 seat arena in Chicago.
Wow.
That's never been done before by an independent group of guys. They did this. They said, we're going to do it again. We'll keep doing it. The shift is that wrestling fans are now completely aware of all the things that are happening on the independent scene, because in a lot of ways it's more vibrant, it's more interesting. It's not neutered at all. There's nobody telling them you can't do this, you can't do that. So there's a lot of fans who are picking up that they're getting more satisfaction from the independent side of things. I think because of that, we're going to be able to see someone who can transcend WWE. Is it me? I hope. Is it not? Maybe not. I don't care. We'll get there. I want to be so above what they're doing in an A-list position where it's not uncommon to show up on a talk show. It's not uncommon to show up in a bit TV show. Maybe I've got a 30-minute special on FX just being weird. Media has changed so much that position, I think, is going to be available pretty soon. So when it comes to merchandise, I'm putting out fragrances and shirts and air fresheners, and guys can't touch me on merchandising. When I'm putting out videos, it's 4K, it's 1080D, it's high def, it's set pieces, it's scripts, it's crazy stuff. I'm constantly trying to be above what everybody else is doing in wrestling so that I can hit the point where I'm past the WWE, where people don't even realize I'm a wrestler. Where I had a guy the other day, he told me, he said, this guy gives advice to all the wrestlers and he charges for it. And he said, there's no wrestling in your videos. I said, yeah. Why would I show them the wrestling? Because they want to see what you can do. They don't care what I can do. They want to see me.
Yeah.
They saw me talking crap. Now they want to see me in real life. What is this crazy dude going to do? He chokeslammed a kid. He's got his own perfume. He's all over the place.
Are you wearing your perfume tonight?
I'm actually wearing a different perfume by the company I'm working with to release my fourth fragrance.
Okay, yeah, I was going to mention it earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be weird though. Yeah.
So I can't say anything yet, but I have cleared a deal with a company to release my fourth fragrance.
Wow.
I released 3 fragrances on my own.
Unbelievable.
Which to me, this is me jumping around a bit, but it helps you understand how my mind works.
Yeah.
It's different from wrestling. Wrestlers are like, my goal next year is to work this promotion. I don't care. I'll work any promotion if you pay for it and bring me in and treat me right. My goal is to create an empire.
Yeah.
And like the fragrance deal, I've made my own fragrances, not doing it because, this is going to make me so much money. I did it and I sold my first 100 fragrances at $15 a bottle. I sold them out in a month. 100 bottles of fragrance. Where am I selling them? Literally at a folding table in wherever in some VFW hall to people.
And Tom's selling them.
And Tom is
then I put out another 50 bottles. I priced them higher, $20. Sold them out in a month.
Unbelievable.
What? Now I'm working with a company? What other pro wrestler right now is signing contracts with a company to produce their fragrance? I'm not the guy who's going to ever this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Dude, I'm shining. Right. And I'm not buffering that thing. And I go to locker rooms and guys are like, I'm feeling fat and I didn't do great tonight and I didn't sell much. And it's just very they nag themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not that dude. Even if I screw up, I'm like, well, I screwed up, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
The guys will pull you in. I had a match the other night and the dude was like, oh, do you want to watch the match? I was like, dude, it's over. I don't need to go back and watch my art again. He said, well, don't you want to critique it? I was like, I know where I messed up.
Right.
I know what I need to do better. I know what we could have added or taken away. It was a 7-minute match. I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking like other wrestlers, and I
Yeah.
refuse to do it.
So you're kind of answering my. Well, I had a question I was thinking about, but you kind of answered it. So you clearly you believe that a wrestler can get to the top solely on his own self promotion. He doesn't need the company to do it.
I think he needs companies, but I don't think he needs the company.
Gotcha.
You know, I've pitched shows to Adult Swim. You know, that didn't pan through right now, but I do think there's spots for that where this weird, wacky world of wrestling translates into so many other things, and people would notice that and latch onto that and go, okay, in its purest form, wrestling is sort of this, hey, we're going to go see a movie, but it's in front of us. So how can we translate that into what people are already watching in Judd Apatow movies or watching on Fox, 8 to 9 p.m. spot where there's a silly Cedric the Entertainer show or whatever it is. I am constantly thinking about how do we bring wrestling to people who have opinions about wrestling that aren't positive, but show them that it's okay to like wrestling. And that shift has already started. But I don't think guys think like me. When I look at a building and they go, oh man, we got 200 people in here tonight. It's like, yeah, but where's the other 100 people that would have come if they knew about it and weren't just wrestling fans? Dude, wrestling fans will show up. They'll drive 3 hours to go to a show to show up. But I promise you, in the town you're running, let's say you're in Miami, dude, there's probably 100,000 other people that had no idea this was going on that probably would have come to the wrestling show for $15. And even if they had been brought along by another person, if they go to the wrestling show and see what it actually is, oh, this is fake, come watch some of that stuff live and in person. You can watch it on TV and it can be a side piece. Wrestling in front of your face is such a different ball game. And I think more mainstream people are going to feel comfortable being fans of it. I mean, you already see some celebrities kind of rocking the wrestling stuff right now.
Yeah.
But I think as we proceed into the future, it's going to become more of a mainstream fixture.
Yeah.
Some parts due to the WWE, but some parts due to the other stuff that's going on in the country right now.
Dude, and the way that you're thinking and going about it too, I definitely feel like you could be one of the catalysts that would like break that because you're a brand. You're building an entire 100%. Brand. Like you do. So you mentioned it. It's like, hey, yeah, I messed up wrestling. Yeah. It is what it is. I'm out there. If people are enjoying it, that's what matters. 100%. You know, because they're going to come out and they're going to buy the stuff. They want to know who you. That's fantastic.
But I also, and this is like me trying not to sound like I think I'm better than everyone else, but kind of knowing in a way there's things that separate me, which is like people will come out with similar gimmicks to me or have similar moves to me or try to speak similar to me on purpose or not. And I go, oh man, are they jacking my stuff? And then I remember, I go, I don't think like them. I don't have to think like them. I will never think like them. They're all thinking too small. They're thinking, how do I wow this crowd tonight? I'm thinking, how do I get this fragrance out in 3 months while also being in 7 different states? I mean, like, my upcoming schedule is nuts.
Yeah.
I'm constantly everywhere. I don't take days off. I work all week. I sometimes even still work Saturdays. And then I go wrestle 2 or 3 days a weekend.
Wow.
And like next weekend, for example, I am wrestling north of Atlanta. I'm going to finish my match. I'm the main event at this show. I'm going to drive to Orlando, Florida. I'm going to catch a flight because it's $200 cheaper. I'm going to go to Seattle. I'm going to wrestle that night. I'm going to fly back that morning. I'm going to finish payroll for the company, and I'm probably going to go into work. And then I'm going to do it again the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend. And it might be New York City, and it might be Arizona, and it might be Seattle, and it might be Louisiana. But it's constant, and you cannot slow down and reflect and sit. It's just like, what's next? What's the next T-shirt? What's the next? I'm looking at it, I'm going, I'm out of pens. I need new pens. I need new stuff. I need more. And never being satisfied with anything. Yeah. And also asking for more money.
Does it drive you nuts sometimes? Do you have moments where like you're at home or where you're just like...
But it's also mellowed me out so much. Okay. Because I'm constantly so busy that nothing little ever gets to me. Right. And I see people around me and they struggle with little stuff. And they're like, this is so frustrating to me. And I was like, dude, I promise you none of that matters. Yeah. Move it forward. Don't sit on that. Don't sit on the stuff that's like, oh, this is bothering me. Oh, I didn't get here in time. I didn't go to get to see this movie. I missed out on the... Forget it. Just keep going. Just keep doing. It's one foot in front of the other. I can't sit and reflect. I have more stuff to do. Yeah. I have more shirts to order and sell. Like, it doesn't end.
Yeah. You have more 12-year-olds to...
I got to chokeslam them.
To chokeslam.
Freaking just. I want to see it. Is that video online?
Oh, dude, I can show you that.
Yeah. Can you pull it up, Brian? Could you pull that up?
Search Effy Izzy chokeslam.
Yeah. I
Oh
gotta
my
see
goodness,
this.
that's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, and what you're about to see is a lot of controversial news. I put out a shirt that day. I didn't put it out. I wore a shirt during that match because I really like Andy Kaufman. If you can't,
I love
figure
Andy
it.
Kaufman.
I'm obsessed.
Yes.
So he used to have all these shirts that he would wear. Intergender wrestling champion of the world. And people would get so mad about it. Yeah, check this out. This way. This is great.
Golly,
my God.
that
I
is
took her to the
Let her
ring.
have it.
real.
So
That's
I'm-
unbelievable.
I came to the ring wearing a shirt that says "Effy beats children," but to me it was totally hilarious and okay because I was about to get beat by this child.
Yeah.
And to me, it was the double entendre of like I beat like a pin 1, 2, 3. I beat this child. I beat him in a match.
Yeah.
Not like I'm going around beating kids, but obviously the double entendre is there and it's funny. So I just put a picture on Instagram before the match that was like feeling this way or like this is a mood, and it's me cross-legged with this shirt that says "Effy beats children." And when this thing blew up and got so controversial, they started reporting on like he's selling this child abuse shirt. He's selling a
Oh
shirt.
my
I was
gosh.
like, "Am I selling it?" So I called the guy who made it for me. I go, "How fast can we get these online?" And so we were selling them by the end of the day.
It's genius.
I'm
Yeah.
tweeting the link out. I made like another $200 off shirts that day, and I think like even like British news sites were reporting on it. It was the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "He's a child abuser." I was like, "Yeah, tell him, book me."
I mean, is somebody still actually reporting on like what happened in a wrestling ring? Is like real news?
100%.
If it's something like that, they might.
Dude,
yeah.
Barstool
Yeah.
Sports reported on it.
Did they
Yeah,
really?
There's an article.
Jeez, yeah, dude. You mentioned Andy Kaufman, and I haven't even like made the connection
Yeah,
either.
I'm
but like
obsessed.
that's because I got super obsessed about a year ago and jumped in and just
Yeah, dude, it's-
But like the parallels are kind of funny between like because obviously he was very very odd. He kind of did the wrestling thing too for
Yeah,
a while,
100%.
but just built that whole brand where like people were always
You
guessing.
you never knew if he was serious or not.
Exactly.
You never knew.
Yeah.
And especially in wrestling, like we're constantly working the audience. And,
Yeah.
and the work is there's work and there's shoot. So shoot is me talking to you right now. Shoot like a gun, it's real. You got shot. Work is we're working together.
Yep.
So what I figured out is it's even more fun to work the other wrestlers and work the companies and work the people who think they know everything.
Yeah.
Even more so than the fans. And so like I'll be more honest with a fan than I will with another wrestler because it's funnier to see them guess at stuff.
Yeah.
And go, who is this crazy person?
I love that.
I love that.
I love that.
I was actually just having a conversation with a buddy of mine that he's a magician, and we have this magician that we both love. His name's Darren Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he's this British guy. He's kind of a mentalist magician, but we were talking about everything he does. I'm like, I feel like he is just. It's one big setup. Everything is like calculated. Like you think he's in a regular interview, but like somehow he's like suggesting something that's going to be a trick later.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing. And I'm like, which it's awesome. I love
It's
like
so
it's
good.
It's yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
getting worked, like as someone who works people, if you can work me, dude, because now, and I think wrestling fans are similar in this way, where, okay, we know it's fake, whatever, predetermined, whatever you want to call it. We still pay the ticket to go to the show. But dude, if you can catch me, like, and I don't know what's going on for even half a second or God forbid a minute, and I don't know what's real or not anymore, dude, that's what gets me going. I did a spot with a guy the other day where I go, "Hey man, the third time we lock up, the collar and elbow lockup is pretty standard to open a match. So the third time we lock up, I'm gonna shove you off me and I'm gonna start talking under my breath to you, and then I'm gonna pep up on you and I'm gonna go, you gonna work with me or not?" He was like, "Why?" I was like, "Dude, just watch." So we lock up, we're playing around. That third lockup, dude, we locked up, shoved him off, start talking to him. People are really paying attention. And, there's 2 guys in the ring. That's it. Referee, whatever. And when we got back into the match, it almost felt like a sigh of relief. And I was like, you guys really thought we were having a moment of miscommunication when really I knew it would get you invested more in the match.
Yeah.
Because now you're not watching to go, how good is their wrestling? Now you're watching to go, is he going to have to clap back on him? Like, is he really trying something here? Is he really trying to be too stiff? Is he hitting him too hard? Is he not loosening up in the lockup? What's happening? I know everything. I'm a wrestling fan. What's going on here? I might need to tweet about this. There's a shoot happening at the show.
good.
I love that.
So good.
Oh, all that stuff, man.
I love that.
live
Just
for that.
I'm waiting for this setup to end right now. something's about to happen.
Oh, I stole the
dude,
story.
I'm about to get that backhanded chest slap. Yeah, out of nowhere. Well, dude, thank you so much, man, for coming
pumped.
on and
Yeah.
hanging out.
What
Will
an
you come back? Will you
unbelievable-
come back?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Dude. I like talking
Yeah,
about wrestling
well,
and anything.
Yeah, you make it easy. But yeah, what's coming up on your calendar? Your social media?
Yeah.
Like,
Where can
give
people
us
find you,
everything.
see you?
Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Okay, so this is where it gets even deeper. My website is beffy.com. If you type it in wrong, it's beefy.com. Don't type it in wrong.
Okay.
You can guess at it all day. I promise it's not Angus steaks. Did I do that on purpose? Yeah, of course I did. Beefy.com.
That's his home screen, beefy.com.
Beefy,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 Yep.
But you can also get to my website by going to www.wwfe.com because I thought it was hilarious to have my website look like the WWE logo.
Nice.
I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter, I am very loose. I do not hold back. That is at Kill Effy because everybody's trying to. And my Instagram is the same, at Kill Effy, because they're trying to kill me. I think Instagram's a little more toned down, but Twitter is a hot freaking mess. And, the wrestling community has picked up on it pretty well. And I'll get somewhere and they'll be like, dude, you're a Twitter legend. And I was like, am I, or am I just loud and can't be censored? It's both.
Nice. So what's coming up on the calendar? Where are you next?
I am in Cornelia, Georgia, and Seattle next weekend.
Okay.
And I don't know who your listener base is, but I'm going to name off some places so they can come
Go for it.
track me
Rattle
down. The week after that, I am in New York City. I guess in Brooklyn. I'm in Brooklyn at the House of Yes. The week after that, I'm in Bridgeport, Tennessee. I'm somewhere in Tennessee. Probably don't go to that show. I don't know. And then I'm taking a few days off. And then I'm back in Miami at the beginning of the year. I'm in New Orleans at the beginning of the year. I'm in Gainesville sometime. I'm in Tampa sometime. I'm all over the place, dude.
Yeah.
My calendar's a mess right now. But if you live in the United States, you can find me somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm in Arizona at the beginning of the year. It'll be great.
I'm going to a
Kill
first
it.
show.
Dude, I'm
I
gonna
got
find
you.
I'm gonna
I'll
find
hop
one
on.
for you that'll be fantastic. I mean,
I've
listen,
talked to Tom about.
you need to come
going.
to a fest
Actually,
show. As a Florida fan, you need to come to a fest show.
Okay.
And the December fest show is extremely special because it's also the third annual Pickle in the Tree match, which is a 7 to 8 person intergender ladder match where everyone's trying to capture a pickle.
Oh,
And it is painful.
sounds awesome.
and so
dude,
ridiculous.
I want to see that real bad.
It's good.
Was it-
man.
was WrestleMania? What was just in Orlando?
WrestleMania was in Orlando like over a year ago.
Yeah, well, I remember I was like, I saw like your pictures
Oh, yeah.
and Tom's pictures from that trip, and I was like, I've never wanted to be. I was like, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, the thing about that is like, and I tell Tom this, or I tell whoever's coming with me to WrestleMania stuff. WrestleMania has turned into a monster of independent wrestling because you already have 100,000 people in town for WrestleMania, give or take. So now you have all the wrestling fans in one place. Let's run some shows. And what ends up happening is, and I've already seen the schedules for this year, and I've already taken some bookings for WrestleMania week this year. It's in New Jersey. It is going to be nonstop. I'm talking from 12 p.m. to 4 in the morning, live professional wrestling shows at multiple venues from Wednesday to Monday.
Wow.
You can easily watch
Wow.
40 to 50 hours of live professional wrestling in a 4-day period, just nonstop.
That's awesome. So that's what it is now. So WrestleMania, I mean, it's really what's kind of going on outside of the arena.
Exactly.
And with all.
I mean, we did WrestleMania last year, and I ended up not going to actual WrestleMania, taking some bookings down there, taking some like WrestleCon bookings too, and then hanging out with a bunch of other wrestlers, watching it on the TV and chilling and hanging out. And it was wonderful.
It's
'Cause I
awesome.
didn't have to worry about the lines or sitting or watching or, all the stuff that comes with a show of that size, but I still got to go see all the good wrestling. And, people like to be ahead of things, especially like think about musical bands, like how pumped you are when you discover an act and then like they sign that major label deal and the second album's not as good.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I knew them when they were this. Like that's what WrestleMania weekend is. It's like, hey, that guy in 2 years is going to be in front of 90,000 people at WrestleMania. But right now, dude, there's 400 of us here and we're going to check this thing out.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
I love
It's
it.
so awesome.
Cool.
Well, again, man, thanks so much for coming by.
Yeah,
This was
we'll do it
awesome.
again,
Yeah,
for
we want to do
sure.
it again.
Let's do it.
I'm a wrestling fan now. I'll say that.
Yes. That's all I can ask for, man.
I don't even wear I don't even. Is it perfume? I'm assuming with you, it's
You
not
know,
cologne.
I call it genderless fragrance. Good
Yeah.
for man, good for woman, good for
Yeah,
anything in
I am-
between.
I'm gonna
Just
be
smell
wearing that,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready to smell
Yeah.
like a wrestler. So,
I'm ready for it too.
Yeah.
You know, the last batch I ordered some illegal Chinese pheromones to put in it too, so that may have helped sales.
Obviously.
I forgot to make the point I was making earlier about the perfume when I said I wasn't trying to make money. I go all over the place, if you can't tell, just mentally. It's retro future marketing. So think about this. I tell you, there's a wrestler with a perfume, with a fragrance. What? Yeah, he has his own custom fragrance. Whoa, can you buy it? No, it's sold out. Oh, it's sold out in a month. Well, do you have any? I did, but I ran out of it. Well, can I get any anywhere? No, you can't get it anywhere. What? Who is this mysterious, creepy dude with fragrance? I can't even get it. It's sold out. He's a wrestler. That's retro future marketing, when you can get people invested in you after the product is gone, just because it's a product worth talking about.
Yeah.
And charitable donations.
You know, you got to actually,
Yeah.
big thing coming up. So I wear a very specific jacket when I wrestle. I own 3 of them. I have one of them now in a plexiglass sealed case with one of my pairs of trunks in there. I'm doing this upcoming month 200 scratch off lotto tickets. It is a nude picture of me holding a box. You scratch the box, and one person will win the framed jacket. 5 people will win shirt packages, which is like shirts and stickers and stuff. And then 5 other people will win a phone call from me, which you guys are talking to me right now. But
Yeah.
there's some people who would love to get that phone
Kind
call.
of unbelievable. Yeah.
I'm going to sell the 200 tickets, $5 a piece. It's going to be $1,000. I'm going to eat shipping costs. I'm going to eat the cost it took to put this thing in a frame. I'm going to eat the printing costs to make these custom scratch-off cards, which is not cheap. And we're going to donate the $1,000 to the ASPCA because I love animals. And that's going to be huge.
Sweet.
Stephanie
Nice.
McMahon was right, but you got to be a little more cautious about it.
Where can they go to sign up for that?
They'll
your
be on
website?
Beffy.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
as soon as they're available.
BEFFY.
The
Okay.
extra F is the most important F. If you don't put in the extra F, you're going to see a different kind of F.
Okay. Yeah.
Whoa, that's good. I should say that to people.
There you go.
That's great. Awesome.
Man.
Effy, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you guys.
Sweet.
All right. We're out. See ya.
Peace.